I think when you add, like beyond the coaching staff, which I just think is a bunch of like really high quality guys, like I think Nash, D'Antoni, Amari, Udoka, Jock Vaughn, like I think that sets like a really great tone. And then
Right.
I think beyond that, you just look at having DeAndre, who everyone seems to like. Everyone likes
Right.
Levert. Uh, everyone likes DeAndre. Everyone likes Jeff Green. Um, uh, and I think Dinwiddie is I think Dinwiddie's an interesting guy because I think there was an argument that to be made that like, oh, is he going to be unhappy this year? But I think Dinwiddie really wants to win and be a part of this squad.
Yeah.
And which is why like you kind of get to the whole like elephant in the room of like, oh, when is Kyrie going to explode X, Y, or Z? And like I honestly think that like I've never found him to be as much of a nuisance as other people have. I've had actually
Hmm.
more of an issue with the way he plays on the court than how he is off the court.
Hmm.
Um, but I think given how happy he is, and I think the combination of some of the vets they brought in, and even some of the guys who have been there before, like Jared Allen is obviously beloved, Joe Harris is beloved. It's just a lot of it's a lot of dudes, and like, look, I get Kyrie and KD are the ones who have the most pressure on them because they have like the legacy stuff. Like Karis LeVert isn't wondering if he's going to be viewed as a top 20 player of all time or whatever, or being viewed as a top 10 point guard of all time, like Kyrie has. I get it, but I'm impressed with the characters they brought in, and I think the combo of the coaching staff and guys who have been there before. Jeff Green has played in big playoff games. DJ has played in big playoff games. Kyrie and KD obviously have, and now and look and like with the bubble now all the young guys have. I mean Jared Allen and Harris were obviously in the playoffs the year before, also with in the Sixers series.
So the
So
comedy of all of last night to me was when they emptied the very end of the bench.
yeah,
It was the guys who were starting. There were guys who were starting for us and playing heavy minutes for us in the playoffs
oh
in the
yeah,
bubble last year.
no yeah. I mean they're like 11. They're 10 through 15 basically was basically their uh 2 or 3 through 7 on the bubble that played in that played in the playoffs and that like beat and that beat a bunch of like a great teams like the Bucks and stuff like that. I mean that was
Right.
the TLC, that was
It
like the
was
TLC, Kuruks, Jared Allen, Levert, Harris, like that's I mean because Torian Prince didn't even show like you're I mean this
yep.
is like and our man Chioza didn't even get any minutes yesterday.
Din, Dinwiddie
Yeah,
Dinwiddie didn't go to the bubble at all. I mean,
right. So
it's it just I when they emptied the bench and I saw and I saw Tyler Johnson about to check in for Karras
right. I forgot
when
about that.
Karras was about to call it a night. I just was giggling to myself like a little girl, like this shit is bizarre. How deep this team is, and again, I hate to keep bringing up Harden. Why would you trade that? Unless you only trade what the Nets have strategically, if you're going to get and let me not say the name I was gonna say. Let me say if you're going to get like who's a premier kind of like wingman that in the league, like if you're gonna get Giannis, who's if you put him on this team,
Right.
they're going to be impossible to stop. Then yes, you trade everything for Giannis. You trade everything for yes, I'm going to say it, Anthony Davis. Even though I didn't want to do that, I think the Nets are a better team without having an Anthony Davis, without having another one of these characters. You, the other, just to talk about the Nets holistically, I don't think we have to talk about Reggie Perry and you know the bench mob that much.
Yeah, though I was happy that I have been impressed with Perry, and I'm happy he got his first NBA buckets yesterday.
Uh, you know what? I we have to salute him for that. Congrats, Reg, on getting your first NBA bucket. Like it's crazy. You got drafted onto what could possibly and what very strongly I believe will be a championship team. That's a win for you. So ride that and enjoy it. But I just want to talk about the team from a holistic perspective. If you like, I remember last year when Houston traded for Westbrook, and I looked at it and I was like, these are two guys who are used to having their way on their teams.
Yeah.
That's not going to work. And I'm afraid, and when it didn't work, I was afraid maybe some of that would happen. And one of the, I think back to some of my old takes because I really at one point was just so in love with our gritty little Nets team, and I thought we could be so much better if we just filled these holes. I really wasn't with, signing superstars, and I wasn't with the Kyrie KD thing, and I have to say, quite honestly, that I was a fool. I know I said that last year, but I want to repeat it now. Seeing the both of them on the court, I was a fool, and the reason why I was a fool is because, from a holistic sense, the Nets just make sense together. There is no poison in the locker room. Kyrie, if some guys would have been on the side talking to some reporter or leaking to some doofus like me on Twitter. Kyrie's an idiot. This dude is in the locker room, saging the locker room. What kind of fuck shit is that? I don't want to play with this weirdo. This team is just cool with each other. They just like each other. They accept each other. And that's not something that was brought in by Kyrie and KD. That was here. That's what attracted them here. And a lot of times I like to stick my finger in Sean Mark's eye when he brings some questionable characters or does some questionable things when he's talking about culture and who is a Brooklyn Net. I want to apologize to Sean for that because honestly, these are just a bunch of good dudes, man. And more than just having two superstars on our team, what Kyrie and KD have proven to me from a holistic sense, right? Not from a forced, mechanical, going, we've got three superstars and we just threw a bunch of pieces in there with them and we're going for it. No, it's a family there. It's a culture there. There is what the Brooklyn Nets are. And honestly, as much as having two superstars, if we could maintain that, as much as having two superstars and maintaining their health, if we could maintain that love, that look in Kyrie's eyes of watching LeVert getting off and going and watching him on the court being the first guy to jump off the bench to celebrate the ownership, the love, the legacy of my dad used to take me to games. And that's the thing that I hear from a lot of like diehard Nets fans, that their love of this team stems from my dad used to take me to games when I was a kid, and through every horrible thing that's ever happened, I remained a Net fan, and I want to and now to have someone like Kyrie who says the same things that you say, that Bam says, that a lot of cats, Pooch, that's Pooch's story. My dad took me to games in Jersey, whether I lived in Long Island or the Bronx or New Jersey. I would go to those games and I fell in love with that team, and that's my team. And to have a player on our team who's not only potentially our best player, but to have one of our best players, our top two players, be a true believer, adding to the culture that Sean Marks built here, that is a formula for a championship. That's why we're going to be fucking great. And because KD wanted a home, you could tell. Like, people think he came here to win a championship or to add to his legend. He did. But even more than that, I feel like KD was looking for a home. He was living in and let's be real, as much as Oklahoma City liked Kevin Durant and liked having a superstar, it was more of a transactional relationship. they really love KD. OKC is a pretty racist place. They don't really. I have a brother-in-law who's stationed in Oklahoma. We know what goes on in Oklahoma, right? We're not missing that, right? And the same thing with Golden State. As cool as he was with Steph Curry and everybody, no matter what he did, he could have won 3 more MVPs. They were never gonna love him like they love Steph. And you know what? I don't think he even knew this when he was calculating. He was looking at the locker room. He was looking at what Sean Marks was doing. The guys Sean Marks hired to bring him in, Harrington and I forget his name. He's the coach at Long Island now. And just having good dudes in our locker room. That's why we're going to win a championship. That's why KD is here. And I want to tell KD, you're home. This is your home. And when we erect that statue out on Flatbush in Atlantic for you, and you know what? That statue may be of Kyrie throwing KD a lob. Whatever that may be. He's going to... Our success is rooted in things that was happening long before Kevin Durant got here, and I couldn't be more impressed, dude. All right, let's get to our 3 things, right? Our nightly 3 things. Sucks that we did this, and I'm gonna change some of mine. Give me your stat for what was the most pivotal thing that happened in that game last night. That tells the story for you.
I'm gonna go short and sweet. I'm gonna do the Kyrie having 26 points in 25 minutes, KD having 22 points in 25 minutes. They barely had to play. They were efficient. They were dominant. Case closed.
Yep. I'm gonna give you mine. I'm changing mine from last night. Kara's having 9 rebounds. That's 9 rebounds on opening night from our lead guard coming off the bench, and he only played 24 minutes. 9 rebounds. That tells me everything. That's about willingness. That's about playing hard, and Kyrie got his 4 rebounds. He was in there trying to get a double. I saw him. He was in the post. Like he really believes he's 7 foot. I am. Kyrie, I thought it sounded crazy when you said it, but it's true. You are Kevin Durant on inside the but Kara's getting 9 rebounds just tells me that this is going to be a different type of season. All right. What was your pivotal moment of the game? What was your pivotal play or moment of the game?
For me, it was just wow. You now have superstars on your team, and it was the 2 shots that KD and Kyrie both made, kind of similar on the baseline, over 2 or 3 other guys. Like for anybody else, I would have said you're insane for taking that, but it was, as his Instagram handle says, it was easy money, okay. and so that was my welcome to having a superstar on your team moment.
No, mine. I'm changing mine from last night, so don't ridicule me. I just thought the Joe Harris drive where he did that spin move on the baseline.
Yeah,
like
that was great.
That's winning basketball, man. He could have took a bad 3. He could have took a bad floater. He could have been like, yo, I'm the shooting guy. This is what I do. But he did a hell of a bounce, like a 1 bounce dribble spin and layup and finished it, man. That's what's going to win us. I mean, the star power is Kevin Durant and Kyrie. The heavy lifting is Kevin Durant and Kyrie. But the grease, the oil in that is that play.
Well, that's great. I want to just comment on it. That's a great play to say, because also that's a play where if you're the defense, right, you're like, okay, we got Harris to not shoot a 3, we got Durant to not shoot, we got Kyrie to not shoot, we got Shamet to not take a 3, LeVert's not taking a layup, and it's like, oh no, instead Harris is gonna do an imitation of Kyrie and get an easy layup. It's like what are we supposed to do about this?
Right, and don't even say it's an easy layup, because they defended him.
Yeah, no, that's
He
true. They did. That's it. They did. Point.
he spun on them and scored, and I bet you most of those guys don't know like this is a top 5 field goal percentage at the rim guy, and